afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the For Fun of Knit podcast. My name is Linda, and I'm coming to you from the sunny southeast of Ireland. This is my corner of the YouTube where I share all my adventures and misadventures in knitting. And misadventures is the key theme of the Stephen West knit along. I am not doing Vlogmas, or pardon me, not Vlogmas. I think I said that before too. Vlogtober, exactly. I am doing a weekly, or trying to do a weekly recap of the Stephen West 2025 Mystery Knit Along. So we are into week 2. It is currently Sunday, October 11th. So we're well into week 2. I have not had an opportunity to do any kind of recording because we've had painters in our house for the last 2 days, just touching up everything. And so aside from that, it just wasn't the right time to actually do any kind of recording. But I have been doing some knitting. But before I start, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your comments in the last video. But I do apologize for the quality of the video. I am trying out a new video software, new to me video software. And I'm hoping it will be easier than what I was using, with a few more features that will help make a slightly better production. But in adopting or trying out a new software, there are things I don't know. One was just a silly mistake. I got the aspect wrong. So that now I know how to fix. Thank you, Susan. But the other thing is the music in the background. I think it was cutting into some of when I was speaking. So I apologize for that. I will try and figure out how to fade that. And if not, I will just not do the music. I'll cut it off much sooner. But I'll try and be a little bit more diligent this go around. So fingers crossed, this video comes up without any hitches. I'm not overly hopeful. It's me, after all. I'm not a professional videographer. I am a serial knitter who does this for fun. This is my hobby. And I really just aspire to keep you company while you're knitting. And if I do that, well then yay, it's a win all the way around. So on that note, this is a spoiler alert. I'm going to talk to you about the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. This year is the 16th annual. It is called the MKAL, for those of you that are just tuning in for the first time. And this is my 5th year actually participating, and I could not be happier. What we are knitting is interesting, it's fun. Most of the stitches and the motifs, we've done bits and pieces in other shawls over the years, but it's how Stephen West puts them together and the orientation of how he's making us knit this that keeps you guessing. So without further ado, if you haven't checked out last week covers off everything in Clue 1, which are these beautiful scallops, and there are 6 scallops. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, just a little interruption there. We're having troubles with our alarm system. So where was I? Oh yeah. So scallop 1, scallop 2, scallop 3, then you go over to the other side, you do scallop 4, then you do scallop 5, and lastly you go to the end and do scallop 6. So there's 6 scallops, and they each have several pieces to them. They have this piece here that I've talked about, then you've got 3 different welts, which is such a fun technique, and mine's held with mohair. We've got brioche. You also had the option just to do garter stitch instead of brioche. I always opt for the brioche because I love the squishy factor. And then this was called the eyelet section, but to me it's more like a, I don't know, it's netting or mesh section. Anyway, so those were a lot of fun, and we had an entire week to do all 6 of them. That was challenging, not so much for me probably because I'm retired, so I can spend a little bit more time. But I think if you're working, or if you have kids and you're taking care of a whole bunch of people, then it will be challenging. But please don't get discouraged about the pace or whether you're finished by the next clue. That is not the intention. The intention is just to really enjoy the knit and learn new skills and let your mind try to imagine what this is going to look like as a shawl. Is this the top? Is it the bottom? Is it going to be a triangle shawl? Is it going to be a crescent shape? What is it? What I do know is it's sound waves. So these are types of sound waves, I guess. And the next section, which is Clue 2, which I'm halfway through Clue 2 now, is a fun potato chippy type of section. Now, I love that. I think it's a nice break from the complexity of the first section, but look at this. I hope you can see it. This is how the next section is turning out. It is this wavy, wavy, wavy stripe section, which I just love. It's so much fun. It's a wavy section and there's short rows. So interesting. This is where it blows my mind. I laugh because the stitch count is important in this section. It's very important. And it doesn't matter what I do. And I've said this before, I'm just repeating myself because this is going on the whole time. You have to have a certain stitch count and then you're doing knit two togethers and yarn overs to create this wave pattern. Well, in this section, I'm pretty sure I should have a much more of a wave, but I am consistently 4 stitches short every repeat, and I have to make stitches and create stitches. And I've read the pattern a gajillion times. I don't know why, I'm always short. And then on this side, I always have too many stitches to finish. I don't get it. At the end of every section, I count how many stitches I have. If I have too many, well then I'll just pick a spot in the middle and knit 2 together because I'm not far out. But if I don't have enough, then I'll add stitches. And I'm actually reading the pattern to the next section and figuring out, well, how many stitches do I need before the next, it's hard to explain, before the next method is used to create the waves. And I think I have it, and then I don't have it. So, and I was really good at math in high school. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. And yet now I don't know what it is about it because knitting is math. I do not know what I'm doing wrong. This is the back side, which I think is very pretty as well. Isn't that pretty? It's a little bit more contrasty, but I'm absolutely loving it so far. What else can I tell you? I'm using bamboo needles, Hia bamboo needles, 3.5 millimeter on a 37-inch cord. 40-inch cord. I don't know that I would use bamboo again for this particular shawl. Some shawls I need bamboo because I need the stickiness, but with this yarn, I don't need the stickiness, and I'm finding there's a lot of knit 2 togethers, and I'm finding that it's hard to pick up both stitches in the knit 2 togethers, especially when I'm holding mohair double, and then I'm trying to knit 2 stitches together, each stitch being made up of 2 strands of mohair. Gets a little bit, I would have really liked my Chiagu pointy needles for that, I think, if I had to do this again. But loving it. So far, so good. It's Sunday. It's Saturday. Did I say Sunday? No, it's Saturday, October 11th. Not Sunday. Where am I going? I have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday still to knit the last 4 rows because it has a total of 9 stripes in it. And I'm 5 stripes in. And so Stephen recommends that you do your color A because it meshes very nicely with this, the clue 1. So start with color A, then go to color D, and then go to color B. Well, my color B was this color. I held these 2 together to make my welts. So that's the color it came up with. Stephen recommended that color C be the solo and you do the eyelets, the little eyelets with this color, your color C, or hold it together with a mohair. And for me, my colors are so similar by intention. I wanted to highlight this yarn more because it's got some speckles in it. So I opted to swap out, instead of using this in the stripe, I wanted to use this in the stripe. One, so I could take advantage, actually see some of the speckles. And two, there's a little bit more of a difference between these two colors than there is between these two colors. So I just thought if I held this double for the eyelets, then this color, my C, could actually show, and you'll get to see some of the speckles in the yarn. So that was my thought. That was my only difference in what he's done. What I would say, if you are a person who loves a lot of color, you should check out the podcast, My Fairy Godfather. He is the most adventurous knitter on the planet, I think, other than Stephen West. He's using all scraps and a few things that he's purchased just recently, but he is not going to plan. He's doing the pattern, but in terms of the color combinations, not going to plan, and it's absolutely stunning so far. I've only seen part of his Clue 1, and I'm loving it. It's very, very artistic. It's very cool. But this is mine. I wanted a more wearable shawl to go with all my denims, something that was all neutrals, and this is exactly fitting the bill. So I'm loving it so far. So stay tuned. We'll see how we go for the next part, but so far I'm finding this particular knit, this particular MKAL, a lot more manageable. I don't know if anybody else is participating. Are you finding it more manageable, or is it just because I have a little bit more time maybe? I don't know. Or maybe it's just because I'm really enjoying this particular knit, just like I did last year. Oh, it was just a lovely, lovely shawl. But I'm finding it's not that big of a challenge to keep up. So we shall see. Anyway, stay tuned and I'll talk to you very soon. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, October 13th. Happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadian friends. And yeah, I've got to wait for November until we get the US Thanksgiving, but I hope everybody enjoyed a very wonderful weekend with their friends and family. In Europe, Thanksgiving is not celebrated, obviously. It's a New World thing, but I'm making a nice chicken dinner anyway. So chicken is the new turkey. So just out of the shower, but heading out. So I'm just out of the shower. I'm heading out on some errands today. I have to use the laundromat because all of the washing machines, well, not all of them, but most homes are outfitted with very energy efficient washing machines and dryers. They take 3 hours to do a cycle, a 3-hour wash, and usually anywhere from 2 to 3 hour wash, and usually a 2-hour dry. And you wonder why that's energy efficient? Well, it is. But because they're, I guess, smaller motors and all this kind of stuff, they don't drain as much energy, so it takes them longer. That said, there's a capacity limitation. These do not, you can put your king size bed sheets in, but if you want to do your mattress protector, which is what I need to wash right now, no, you need an extra large capacity washing machine for those. So I have to go to the laundromat. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take my knitting with me. But I thought I would just update you on my shawl. Okay, so now I keep lamenting about how my stitch count is always off, and I'm going to say it is 100% me and nothing to do with the pattern. And I proved it to myself with clue number 2. So I am almost finished clue number 2. So this was clue number 1. Everybody saw that part. And these waves are clue number 2. I hope you can see that. I hope you can see these beautiful waves. There you go. I can't see what I'm doing, so I'm hoping you can see those waves. And what's interesting is you always cast on if this knitting is facing you, You always start your color on the right side. You knit across, and the very first, when you join your first yarn, you're knitting across all the way to the end, and then you are supposed to turn around and knit a certain number of stitches. And every time I did this pattern, I'd come back across, and how am I going to explain this to you? Okay, let's start with the setup of Clue 2. And I'm not going to give anything away, but the setup of Clue 2 is you join your yarn, and it starts way back here. Bear with me, folks, this is kind of funny. I started here, right? Joining from Clue 1. So right side facing me, which is facing you. You knit across all the way across all your stitches, and then you turn around, and on your way back, you knit a certain number of stitches, place a marker. And then you knit to the end, turn around, go back, knit to that marker. That's your turn. We're doing short rows. And so when you turn it to the wrong side again, you take that marker out and you knit a certain amount of stitches and you place the marker back, and then you knit to the end, turn it around, knit to the next marker, knit to the next marker, which you're shortening it, right? So every time the marker is moving closer and closer to your starting edge. And that's the marker is just the stitch marker is just a reminder for you to, that's where you stop knitting and you turn your work around. So the first row you're knitting the whole way, all the way, you put a marker, you knit to the end, turn it around, knit to the marker. Turn your work around again, take that marker off, knit a certain number of stitches, put your marker back in, knit to the end, turn around, knit to that marker. Take the marker out, turn your work around, knit a certain number of stitches, replace the marker again, knit to the end. Now it's getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, and you keep knitting shorter because you're making short rows, so you're creating this wedge. Hopefully that makes sense. Here's where Linda has a brain burp. So when you're doing an I-cord bind off, it always says when you turn your work around, when you're on one side, it's on the wrong side, it says, or no, when you get to the edge of your knitting, when you're doing an I-cord, it says slip 3 stitches with the yarn in front, turn your work. So you turn it. And then the next line, it will say knit 3 stitches, and in this case there is an increase, so it's knit front back, so knit 3 stitches, knit front back. But when it gets to this end, you get to this end and it says, okay, knit until the last 3 stitches, slip 3 stitches with yarn in front, turn your work, and then it says knit a certain number of stitches. I kept separating my 3 I-cord stitches on the one end as a separate knitting thing. The instructions said knit X number of stitches. That's the first words, knit X number of stitches. I would knit my 3 I-cord edge stitches and then knit the number of stitches. And I was always, when I got to the long end, the end, I was always 3 stitches short. It took me, I hope that makes sense, it probably doesn't, but it took me until stripe 7 to figure that out. Sorry, that was a long-winded way of saying all of my stitch count problems are Linda-isms. But that said, loving the knit, it doesn't matter, I fudged all the way. Every single one of these stripes, I ended adding stitches in the end stripes to make the right number of stitches for the next setup row, because you always have to, your eyelets is your setup row for the next stripe. And let me tell you, I had a lot of fun. So mine is probably going to be a slightly different shape than everybody else's. I'm just saying, it's going to be a unique to Linda shawl again. But what you have is on the one end, on one end of your shawl, you've got the short I-cord, like everything's come because you did your short rows, right? The rows get wider and wider and wider and wider and wider until you get to here. See the difference in the colors? Yeah, you can see that. Now the shape to me is becoming very interesting. is the shape going to be a triangle? I still think it could go this way. It could be a rectangle because you've got this I-cord edge happening here. It could be a rectangle going this way. I don't know if you can see that. And then clue 2 could fill in and make it more of a rectangle. That's possible. Or it actually could be, how did I figure it? Or it actually could be that this is the middle of the shawl. Oh, no. Yeah, this is the middle of the shawl. This edge is the middle of the shawl. And this is one of the wingspans that you're doing. And so this might be clue 1, clue 2. We have to do this. Oh no, see, that doesn't work. You'd have to duplicate it. So I don't know. I'm still absolutely perplexed as to what is happening with this. But it's a lot of fun, despite the fact that even the most potato chippy-ish knitting, I make mistakes. Oh my gosh, do I make mistakes. But it's a shawl. It doesn't matter. It's all for the fun of knit. So for today, going to the laundromat. Tomorrow, we're probably going to head out to Rossler Harbor and go for a really nice walk. And I'll take you along on that walk. There's a beautiful park in the middle of this small little village. And I keep saying to Patrick, we got to stop in and just walk through and see what it's like. It's probably just a small little park. But I will try and get some footage of that because that's kind of nice. And I am just waiting for my tart cherries to arrive from Amazon so I can start my Christmas cake. I have yet to do my fruit. So those are the plans, heading to the laundromat, and then I'm going to try and finish clue 1. Again, it's Monday, so our clue 2. I'm thinking this will be finished today. Yay. And so that gives me Tuesday and Wednesday to knit on something else, which I have to say I'm kind of looking forward to. Anyway, I will check in with you in a bit. Take care. What day is it today? Tuesday, October 14th. I have to keep thinking about what day it is. They're just going by so fast. I have finished clue 2. I'm not going to go in detail about it because I think I've talked enough about the clue itself, but it is finished. This is clue 2, and I don't know if it goes this way or this way maybe. I don't know if it's a rectangle. If it's a rectangle that we fill in the bottom part and it becomes a rectangle, or if this is going to be a crescent shaped shawl where we pick up on this edge and work out that way. It's a complete and utter mystery, but I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And I think my color choices were perfect for what I was trying to accomplish. A very wearable, jean denim-y kind of a shawl that I will get a lot of use out of. Now, I also have, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I have a sweater's quantity of this color, which is my color B, and more of the blue ice blue from Knitting for Olive. And so I'd like to make something very potato chippy, just either a double, like maybe a Monday sweater would be perfect. Ooh, Monday sweater. I think that's going to be my Monday sweater. So I'm going to try and do that as an outfit with my shawl. So that's the back end. See, I like the back of my shawl. So very excited about that. Clue 2 drops on Thursday. So in the interim, I have time to start working on something else. So I have a bit of cast on itis. I want to cast on a Monday sweater, and I think I just made my choice of yarn. So that was really fortuitous. This happened in the moment. I also have, back in the day, my girlfriend Jackie, hi Jackie, and I dabbled in dyeing yarn. And we were just playing, and I had 5 skeins of a DK, a Bloomsbury DK, which is 100% non-superwash merino in sort of a stone gray color. And I have some gray yarn, so I wanted something a little bit different. So I thought I would experiment with dyeing, and I came up with these. And so notice, so this is just a very variegated yarn that is gray, purple, pink, olive greens, you know, really kind of mishmashy. I was just experimenting. But I have 5 skeins of this. Notice how I am not a professional dyer, really light, really dark. So whatever I do, I am going to have to do helical knitting. I'm going to have to alternate skeins, but I have 5 skeins of this and I want to use it because it's beautiful yarn. It's in my stash. And so I'm going to make Andrea Mowry's DRK Everyday pattern. Now that pattern requires a sport weight yarn. This is DK, firmly in the DK camp, but I'm just going to go with it. I might go up a needle size, and you know me, I like to live on the edge, go up a needle size, go down a pattern size. Hopefully it all works out. But that is one of the things I want to cast on. The other thing I want to cast on is the Felix sweater from Amy Christophers, not too sure how to pronounce that. I did a Felix sweater last year in fuchsia with mohair, and my gauge was totally off. I made it way too big, excuse me, and the fabric was way too dense. So I should have gone up a needle size. Didn't do that, and then it just was way too big, and I did some bad choices on it. I decided it was way too big once I had finished the yoke and separated for sleeves, so I thought I would do some decreases, body shaping. Well, my body shaping didn't work. It ended up being this wide football sweater and then into a narrow waist, and it just looked ridiculous. So I frogged that all, and my fuchsia is taking a time out. My beautiful Malabrigo is taking a time out, but I'm going to do another Felix cardigan in Sweet Paprika and Andante in the Cayenne colorway. So I thought that would be really nice and kind of seasonally appropriate if I get it done by December. We shall see. So before I get into what I am wearing, I thought I would give you the second update of our move to Ireland. So I told you last time that all of our goods arrived on August 21st, which was my birthday, by the way. So I spent my birthday unpacking boxes. Ooh-wee. But I also left you with a cliffhanger, and I said, you know, sometimes it's just that one question that you just didn't know you needed to ask. So we did a lot of research before making the big move, to the point where, especially when it comes to my car, anything that we were importing from Canada, you have to be very careful to make sure that you're bringing things that will be acceptable, that don't have any huge tariffs or taxes or are environmentally unfriendly. Anyway, so my car was a big concern. So I phoned Honda Canada. Yeah, not a problem. Your car is eligible for transport to Ireland. I phoned the vehicle registration department in Ireland. I spoke to them personally, gave them all my car details, and they're like, absolutely, your car is importable. You can import your car to Ireland. I phoned the insurance bureau for car insurance in Ireland, and they're like, yes, you can get insurance for your car, not a problem. So pretty much thinking I'm good to go. One of the criteria that Ireland requires is a CO2 emission certificate. And coming from Canada, we're very environmentally friendly. And so this CO2 certificate, so I kept phoning Honda going, I need the CO2 certificate, and Honda in writing, it was actually Acura, is, well, we don't give a CO2 certificate. What we do is we give you this CO2 or this emissions band, and that is applicable for the EU, and that will be sufficient. And I'm like, okay. And I gave all of that information to our customs agent that was shipping our car, as well as to the custom agents in Ireland that were receiving our car, all of this good stuff. So we pretty much thought we had, you know where this is going. We pretty much thought we had everything in the bag. So on August 21st, my birthday, my car lands in Ireland. Actually, my car landed August 6th. All of our goods landed August 6th, but could not be delivered until August 21st. So get the car, start going through the process of getting it registered in Ireland. And they're like, well, the one thing that you still don't have is your CO2 emissions. And I'm like, oh no, I have it all covered. I have this band that was given to me by Acura Canada, and it's all the emissions that the car gives. And they're like, no, Linda. That's not quite the information we need. We need something very specific. We need the grams per kilometer of CO2 emissions of your car. And I'm like, oh no. Okay, so not a problem. I'll get a hold of Acura Canada again and I will get that information. Anyway, so I emailed them and they come back to me and they're like, well, we don't give that specific information. And I said, I have been in conversation with you for 2 months prior to me leaving, and you knew I needed this information. And so now I need this specific CO2 emissions for my car. Specifically, I need grams per kilometer. Well, and then I get on the phone with them and, oh, we'll have to escalate it. We'll have to escalate it to our compliance department to give you that information. What? Oh, well, no, now we have to escalate it to the legal department to give you that information because we normally don't disclose that information. So I'm starting to sweat. So finally, I do get an actual email confirming the CO2 emissions of my car. The CO2 emissions of my car were the dirtiest possible in the country of Ireland. Okay, it's not as bad as it sounds, but in Ireland, all the engines are very small engines, and this is mainland Europe as well. A lot of the engines are really small to be more emission friendly. My car was a 3.5 liter V6, which in Ireland is considered to be a huge engine and not so clean. Oh, I was so mad. I was so mad. So the question I did not ask, didn't even know I should ask, is what are the ranges of CO2 emissions and how does that figure in all the costs of my car? Like, are there other costs I need to consider? Well, yeah, you need to consider because there is something called road tax in Ireland. Every single year you have to pay road tax and it is based on the emissions of your car. Number one. The second thing I didn't ask was, how much will my insurance be? I didn't ask specifically. Well, yes, my car was insurable and registerable and importable, but the road tax on my car because of the emissions would have been 2,800 euro a year. And my car is insurable, but it doesn't even register on the Irish insurance system, so it was considered a luxury import, which it's not. And I would have to pay 2,500 euro a year for insurance. So that's 5,300 euro a year to maintain my car times 1.61 was north of $7,000 to $8,000 a year just to have my car on the road. I cried for 2 days. I'm one of these people, I love my car. I love my car. My car has been very good to me. My car is relatively new. My car has really low mileage. My car is the most luxury thing that I own. Yeah, so the car got sent back to Canada. As a matter of fact, it is currently October 14th. It's going on the slow boat all the way through the coastline of Europe. It went to anywhere from, it's on a boat and it went to Antwerp and it went to France and then it went back to Belgium, and then it went to Portugal, and then it went to Valencia, Spain, and now it's back in France, and it should theoretically arrive sometime December 6th in Vancouver. So 1, I lost my car. 2, I had to buy a new car. 3, I had to pay for all of this stuff. Oh my God. Anyway, so those are the questions we didn't know to ask. Now on a smaller scale, the other thing we didn't know was, so we divested of a lot of our belongings in Canada, but there's a few things that I wanted to keep, like certain lamps and, things that, pieces of things that I really wanted. Like I wanted to keep my Mixmaster, my KitchenAid Mixmaster, and my Ninja blender, which is a high-powered blender. For all the things that I make, and you know, our desk lamps, things like that. And I knew electrically they didn't mesh with the EU or European systems, so we'd have to get transformers. Not a problem. Transformers, you read on the internet, yeah, get yourself some transformers, not a problem. Patrick even brought his whole stereo system, you know, because we could put it on transformers and that would be fine. As long as your transformer is like 3 times the wattage requirement of your device, your electronics, you're good. Except if all of your plugs, your outlets are on the same circuit, then it doesn't work so well. So we didn't know this. These are things you don't know. You don't ask, you know, you're buying a house, you see lots of electrical outlets. You don't ask, are they all on the same circuit or are they on different circuits? Well, as it turns out, a lot of them are on the same circuit. So we brought a lot of electronics that, you know what, it just doesn't make sense to buy transformers for everything. And not only that, even if you bought transformers, which convert the 110 volts to the 240, or probably the 240 volts down to 110, it doesn't make sense because you can only have one transformer plugged in at a time because it's all on the same circuit. So needless to say, these are the things that you don't think about. So if you are immigrating to a different country, 1, make sure the electricity is the same as your country. If it's not, don't take anything. I put my foot down and Patrick and I agreed that the 2 things we're going to keep were my kitchen equipment. So because my blender and my mix master are never going to be on at the same time. And when I am using those, he can't watch TV. So, because we'll blow everything. But it made sense for us to keep those items because his stereo system, you know, is the most precious thing he owns. And I love my mix master and my blender. So I wasn't going to give those. All the lamps. I had this crazy idea that maybe I could find a YouTube video to how to rewire a lamp. Do you think I can find one? I can't. It's the one thing on YouTube I cannot find. The other thing I cannot find is I've looked on Amazon for actually a kit that comes with all the wiring and the, you know, and the on-off switch and then the plug in European EU gauge, wiring gauge for 240 volts. Can't get them. And if you can get it, I think I saw one kit. It was more expensive than buying a lamp. So much for do it yourself. So anyway, those are kind of the things that you get caught off guard by. The last thing that we got caught off guard was the dryer situation. So in Spain, we don't have a dryer. Electricity is too expensive. And so for all of our stuff, we can air dry it. It's always sunny there. It doesn't matter. Here's a different story. We needed a dryer. So we have a washer and we have a dryer, super energy efficient. But guess what? They don't fit large, bulky items. So if you want to do anything more than 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and some face cloths, you have to do separate loads. If you have guests and you have 6 towels, well, hell, man, you're going to be doing laundry for 8 hours because each cycle is 2 to 3 hours. So I found a laundromat, which I'll show some footage of. I think I might have already shown footage of that. But it cost me to do our mattress protector and a load of brand new towels that hadn't been washed. I didn't want to put them in our washing machine necessarily because, sorry, I've got fluff, because they're navy blue and I didn't want them to dye everything. It cost me about $40 in laundromat fees. I could have bought 6 towels. I'm just saying. So all this kind of stuff you just don't plan for, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Now, I'm just telling you the nitty gritty. Everything else has been fabulous. But those are the adventures in moving to a different country. For the rest of it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm over the car thing, so love it. Oh, I did get a new car. I'll show you a picture. New to me car. It's actually so secondhand cars in Ireland. Well, cars in Ireland are super expensive. Patrick bought a brand new car here In Canada, it would have cost about 40,000 Canadian. In Ireland, it's about 70,000 euro. So almost twice the cost. Used cars are retaining their value for that exact reason, and they're super expensive. So I ended up getting a second-hand Nissan Qashqai in sort of this dark candy apple red. I've never had a red car. And it's perfect. It's perfect for me. It's got low mileage. Yes, it's an older model, but it is in perfect condition. And it's fabulous. So I'm happy. I have a new car. I have mobility now. So I feel much more at home, that I have some freedom to not always rely on Patrick to drive me everywhere. But that's kind of the updates I wanted to give you on that. All these things you don't really think about. And bad on us. It's all us. It's nothing about the country or any country you go to. It's just sometimes you just don't know what questions to ask. And so be prepared. If you're ever thinking of making a move, be prepared. There's going to be unintended consequences and costs to you that you could not have foreseen. So hopefully, if anybody's thinking about importing their car, you'll ask the right questions. So, okay, that is enough of the update in Ireland for now. You're going to ask me what I'm wearing. Sorry, this is it's a newly finished object. I'm not going to talk about it too much today because this I will do an episode on. It is the Hazel jumper from Irene Lynn. And that's all I'm going to tell you about it, but it's beautiful. I love it. Can I show you? It is a full lace, oversized, super comfy garment, but I want to wait until I do a full episode on it because it's worth going into detail. What I will say is I love it, and I will talk more about it, and the yarn I will talk more about as well. I sort of mentioned it in the past, but I'm trying to find more of it. I don't know where I can get it at the moment. I don't know yet what the rules are in terms of importing yarn and taxation and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a little bit hesitant to order anything. I did order something locally from an Irish yarn store in Dublin. So when I get that, I will share that with you. But this again is the Hazel jumper by Irene Lynn, and as inspired by Jenny from Honeybird Studios. So there you go. I finished it. Very good, motivating. It only took me over a year to do it. But that's all I wanted to say. So now I've got 2 days worth of knitting. So you're going to have to wait until the next episode to find out what happens with Clue 3. I'm going to publish this tomorrow on Wednesday. So you're not going to know about Clue 3 unless you, of course, look at the Stephen West videos. But what I will say is what's coming up in the next week for me that has nothing to do with Stephen West is that I am going to the Dublin Fiber Festival. This is, I think, the second annual Dublin Fiber Festival. It's not that big. It's only got about 40 or 50 vendors. It's in the Irish Museum of Modern Art. Hello again. It is October 15th. I did a whole entire little segment. Probably I kept speaking for about 10 minutes, and for some reason it did not record. My phone was having a bit of a battery issue. So what I was trying to say is this coming weekend on October 18th, I'm going to the Dublin Fiber Festival. I'm going with my friend Susan from County Clare. Her and I have been YouTube friends for several years now. And she is the host of the podcast Wild Cottage Knitting. So she has a beautiful property in County Clare where she grows plants, for traditional yarn dyeing through natural plant dyes. And all sorts of fun stuff. And she gets involved with one of her really good friends, Suzanne, has a farm with lambs, and they do lambing every year. And if you haven't checked out her video, I highly recommend it. It's very entertaining. But anyway, so we are meeting for the very first time on Saturday, live and in person. So we talk, and we video chat, etc. But now we're meeting in person, so I'm very, very excited. So I will give you the full update of that in the next Vlogtober, which really isn't Vlogtober, weekly Stephen West update for Clue 3. So on that note, I'll sign off. I hope you're all keeping well, and attached at the end of this video is a little bit of footage of a neighborhood park very close to us, which when we went into the park, we thought it was just maybe a small little block of nature. It ended up being acreage of nature, and it was a fairy garden. It was just fabulous. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and we'll talk very soon. Take care, everybody.